And in 2006, I got a phone call from a lovely woman by the name of Jody Rell. And I actually thought she wanted me to throw her a fundraiser, Charlie. It was a Friday evening, and I was still at the office, and actually, I'll tell the truth, I was actually thinking a bottle of wine we were going to have with dinner that night. And Governor Rell called, and she asked me, she wanted me to get involved in the campaign. And truly, I thought it was a fundraiser. And she said, no, I want you to get a little bit more involved. And she said, I want to consider you as a lieutenant governor candidate. And I remember going to what I call the interview at the residence. And I bring you to this point because I think the same reasons that Governor Rell chose me as her lieutenant governor running mate in 2006 are the same reasons that I'm qualified to run for governor this time around. She said, you know, Michael, I'm looking for someone to balance my ticket, someone who brings private sector experience of creating jobs. And clearly I had done that in small business. I made payrolls. I knew the challenges of what small businesses here in Connecticut had. But I also had the ability to speak to chairmen of large corporations, Fortune 10s, in the process of doing sales and things of that nature. So she wanted that. She wanted someone, as she puts it, knew the plumbing of the legislature, knew the egos, the personalities, the process with which to get things done. And obviously I'd served not only in local government, but I also served 10 years in the General Assembly, so I knew the plumbing. We are facing a very defining moment in state government. I'll give you a timeline. The next governor, the election is the first Wednesday this November. The next governor gets sworn in the first Wednesday in January. 6 weeks, approximately 6 weeks after that governor is sworn in, they have to present a budget to the General Assembly and the citizens of Connecticut that will close a $4 billion deficit. Now, folks, this is not a job for someone who's going to get on-the-job training. This is not someone who's going to learn it on the fly. You need someone who's been there, who knows the plumbing, as Governor Rell has talked about. We need to do a couple of things in state government. The first thing we need to do that's a priority is get our house in order. We are spending way too much money in this state for the services that we need to provide. Our issue is not a revenue issue in the state. Our issue is a spending issue. I have a plan, it's on my website, fedele2010.com, that talks to how we're going to get there, by consolidating departments, by streamlining efficiencies, by cutting spending, by privatizing many services that I think private sector does much better than government. The other thing we're going to do is we've got 100,000 people, over 100,000 people in the state that are currently out of work. We need to put those people back to work. If we can do that, think about what that does for us. People who work pay income tax. People who work spend money, pay sales tax. People who work don't cost us unemployment. People who work don't cost us health care in state government. It's a win-win. But the other important thing that government has to do is not only worry about the 100,000 people that are out of work today in what I call today's jobs, but we have to worry about the future jobs. In 2009, of the top 10 jobs in America in 2009, 6 of them did not even exist in 2005. So 6 of the top 10 jobs in 2009, less than 5 years ago, did not even exist. So our role in government is not only to look at what are the jobs of today, but what are the jobs of tomorrow so that we can prepare our children and industry to do that. As Lieutenant Governor, I have traveled, and Carol has joined me on some of these trips, to Western Europe, China, all over the country, and I've talked to other businesses about coming to Connecticut, about growing. I can point to specific transactions where jobs have come to Connecticut because of the effort that I've put forward with those companies in Western Europe and here in the States. I can point to 16,000 jobs that have been created in the 3.5 years that I've been Lieutenant Governor. And I'm not talking about 4,000 jobs here, 1,000 jobs here. I only wish that was the case. I'm talking about 50 jobs in Norwalk with Wusthof knives. I'm talking about a new branch that's opened up a bank for 10 jobs. I'm talking 300 jobs because I visited a company in Germany who had a facility in Rocky Hill with 150 people, and they were going to consolidate that facility into either their Pennsylvania and New Jersey location. I talked them into closing New Jersey and Pennsylvania and moving those 300 jobs to Connecticut. So, we have, and many of you who are involved in Republican politics, we have a lot of good candidates running, a lot of good Republican candidates running. But I have to tell you that many of them talk about what they're going to do. I can demonstrate to you, like I just have, what I have done. They talk about consolidating departments. The last 2 years, Governor Rell and I have put forward bills to consolidate state government and consolidate departments. You know why they haven't passed? the majority party in the legislature hasn't voted for them. We've put bills forward to get rid of unfunded mandates that the state passes down to the municipalities, which actually come out of your personal property tax, which causes your taxes to go up. We put those bills forward. The majority party hasn't passed them. We need to get more Republicans in the legislature. We have Dee Dee here. Is she still here? Dee Dee's running. Rob, you're not running for this office.
No.
And then if anybody else wants to run, we could use some more candidates. But we need more Republicans to support me as governor so I can get that agenda through. We need to create a government in this state that's affordable to those of us who pay, it's going to be accountable to those of us that serve, and compassionate to those of us that are in need. And I believe I have the courage, a word that I've used a lot in this campaign, to do the right thing. Not because I'm concerned about a poll or what the next 4 years after the first election is going to be. I'm willing to make the tough decisions to jeopardize running again if they're the right decisions for this state. Because I think this governor has to have the courage to make those tough decisions. I have them. Someone said, well, what do you mean by that? I said, I mean, setting the tone. And I'll give you an example of a real good Republican who did that. On Martin Luther King's Day, I was at the Capitol doing an event, and I had some dead time, so I turned on CNN in my office, and they were doing a poll of presidents at the end of their first year in office, the popularity. And George W. Bush was at 82%. If you remember, that was right after 9/11. All-time ranking. Right smack in the middle was Barack Obama after his first year, 50%. And there was this guy out here at 48%. Who was that?
Reagan.
Ronald Reagan, right? Now, what did Ronald Reagan do his first year? Well, first, if you remember, crime was like 23%. You know, Jimmy Carter had just left office. We had folks in Iran. He got sworn in. He said to everybody, before we party, I got to go to the Oval Office. Went to the Oval Office. First bunch of people he called in were who? The air traffic controllers. Remember those guys? And he said, they said, look, Mr. President, congratulations. Here's what we demand, otherwise we're shutting you down. And he said, you know what? Sorry, we can't afford that. Here's what I'm willing to give you. You're all fired. Now, I used to travel heavily at that time, and for those of you who did, remember you have to wait hours for the plane in front of you it probably was already at the destination it was towed before you could take off. But what tone did he say? What about the next group that came in after that group? What are they saying? They're saying, wow, this guy's crazy. Right? He really means business. That's what I mean by setting the tone. Business as usual cannot continue in this state. We cannot afford it. Our children won't be able to afford it. And the question's going to be, what are those qualifications? Now, I'm a little biased, but I think I've got the best resume. I have private sector experience. I've created jobs from the ground up. I have public sector experience. I've created jobs in the public sector. I have legislative experience. I understand the process. And I think I bring some values to the table that are very important for our next chief executive officer. So what you can do for me is this. You can go out there and tell your friends about Mike Fedele. You can tell them about our campaign. A campaign that's very grassroots. People are saying, all I can give you is $100. Yep, all you can give me is $100. And you all know that there are people out there writing big checks on both sides of the aisle. Okay, this is not about writing checks. This is about our children's future. It's about your future. And I believe I bring the ingredients that I can make a difference in this state. I wouldn't be running if I didn't think I could do that. So I need your help. If you can get the message out, you can go out to my website, fedele2010.com. You can donate there. You can volunteer. You can tell me what a great job we're doing. You can tell us what a terrible job we're doing. We're open for all things. But I can tell you this. I promise you a commitment of 150% that I will do what's right from a real selfish perspective, because I want this to be a state that my children and grandchildren can grow in. Thank you very much for being here.